Hello, my name is Valerie Geary, and there are 241 books on my shelves that I have not yet read. That's right, 241 books that I own and have not yet read. 241. Welcome back to my reading nook where we get cozy and chat about books, storytelling, and our ridiculous, out of control TBR piles. So if you hear that noise in the background, that is my husband Ryan in the basement. He is doing some woodworking. I said, I'm going to come up here and make a YouTube video, and he said, I'm going to go in the basement and make some noise. I don't know about you, but I will never be able to read all the books that I want to read in this life before I die. There are just too many. But I could at least try to read the ones that I own. The ones that are sitting here on my shelf feeling sad and neglected. So let's do some easy math, shall we? According to my reading records, over the past 7 years, I've averaged about 86 books a year. So I've been able to read, finish, or maybe not finish 86 books a year. Some years were more than that, some years were a little bit less, but that's a pretty good representation of how many books I could read in a year, 86. So if I can read 86 books in a year, that means it'll take me more than 2 years to read the 241 that are on my shelf. Probably closer to 3 years to read everything that I own, and that doesn't even count buying or acquiring new books in those 3 years. I honestly don't mind owning a bunch of books that I haven't read. I find it kind of comforting. I kind of think of them as like emergency books in case something happens and I can't get to a bookstore or get to the library. I have all these books here waiting for me to read them. But it is getting a little out of control. And there are books on my shelf that I really, really, really want to read. Like, I was really excited about them. Obviously, that's why I bought them, and I just haven't gotten around to reading them because I am addicted to the library, and I love getting library books, and those always take priority over the ones that I own because these are going to be here forever, but library books have like an end date where you have to return them. Anyway, I get excited about new releases. I get excited about checking books out from the library, and then when I go pick up the holds, I bring home like 3 or 4 extra ones that I am not as familiar with, but they looked interesting. And so it's just kind of a cycle that I have a hard time breaking. I love books. Have I mentioned I love books? This is not a video where I tell you about my problem with accumulating too many books. I love having books that I have not read. But something a little bit serendipitous happened at the end of 2021, and I thought I would take advantage of it to try and read through my own shelves. My husband and I went on a road trip to California. We were gone for about 3-4 weeks. It was a very long road trip. Before we left, I decided to read and return all of the library books that I had on my shelf. I didn't want to have any at my house just sitting there or, needing to return them when I got back. So I read the ones I was interested in and returned them to the library. In addition, I did not have any more books on hold at the library. So basically, we ended up coming home at the end of December, and here I was facing 2022 with a clean library slate. I didn't have any books checked out, and I didn't have any on hold for me. So I thought, if not now, when? Now is a great time to read through my own shelves. So 2022 is going to be the year I tackle these 241 books. And no, I will not get to them all. Like I said, I can only really read about 80 to 90 books a year, so it would take me about 3 years to get through this stack if I didn't get any new books, and you better believe I'm going to be acquiring new books, but I can make a dent, and that's what I'm going to be trying to do at the beginning of 2022. Obviously, I could just come to the shelf and pick out whatever book looks interesting to me in that moment, but I was worried that that would kind of get a little boring or maybe wouldn't make it as interesting, and I might succumb to the siren song of the library, and so I decided to play around a little with reading from my own shelves, and I'm going to be reading in themes. As I was perusing my shelves, I was starting to notice that there were similarities between a lot of them. So I broke it out into 4 different themes for January, February, March, and April. And I'm going to be choosing books based on those themes. So what does that mean? Well, in January, I am going to be reading books that have animals on the cover, whether that's in the title or as a picture on the cover. So like The Plague of Doves has dove in the title but also has birds. But The Atomic Weight of Love doesn't have a animal in the title, but it does have a bird. I have a lot of books with birds. What does that mean? When I want to read something in January, I can come to my bookshelf and look for books that have animals on the cover and decide which one looks most interesting. I'm hoping that it will be a little less daunting and a little less overwhelming to choose which book to read next if I am picking from a specific theme. I don't know, maybe it will feel too limiting, but I doubt it. I started pulling animal books for January and the pile got way too big. There is no way I can read all the animal books that I own, animals on the cover books that I own in January, and so I think I'll have a great selection to choose from. I don't have to finish all of the animal books that I own. It's just like a way to choose the books that I'm reading in January. So January, animals on the cover, whether in the title or as a picture. And then in February, I'm going to choose books that have girl in the title because I have a heck of a lot of those. Who doesn't? Who hasn't named a title something something girls? It will be titles with either girl in the title or a female name. The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, for example. Perhaps The Girl from Savoy. In March is my birthday month. Blue is my favorite color. And so the books I'm going to be reading in March are all going to be blue covers. And then finally in April, it will be nature-related books, whether that is a book with a nature-related title, like The Mountain Story, Mountain, Nature, or a book related to nature, like Prodigal Summer, which is a hymn to the wilderness. I think there are a lot of nature-related books on my shelf, so I am looking forward to choosing from that pile. And then in April, I will take a look at how things are going and reassess and decide if I want to keep going with reading my own shelves and reading on a theme, or if I want to take a break and check some books out from the library or go find a new stack somewhere else, or just maybe read some new releases like my 2022 most anticipated mysteries. I might want to do that closer to like spring and summer. But for the first 4 months of the year, I will be reading from my own shelves on a theme. I have plenty of books and plenty of themes that could keep me busy for the rest of the year, but plans change, and I think 4 months is a great start. I should be able to put a good dent in this TBR pile of mine. Now, what about new books? That is a very good question. I think that I'm only going to do a no buy January for now. I'm going to be strict with myself in January and then see how the rest of the months go and how I'm feeling and if there are books that I want to bring home. I'm not a huge fan of book buying bans. I mean, if you want a book, go out and buy it, you know, or find it at the library or get it from a little free library. So I'm not necessarily a fan of that kind of restriction because books bring me joy and happiness whether or not I've read them. But I do think I can go 1 month without acquiring new books. And so that means not buying, not going to the library, not going around to any of my awesome neighborhood little free libraries and picking out free books. The only exception is if I am gifted a book. Otherwise, no new books into my house all of January. And then we'll see how I'm feeling in February and whether I want to go out and, you know, replace the books that I've read in January with new ones that will sit on my shelf for years. Well loved but never read. So those are my reading goals for the first 4 months of 2022. Reading off my own shelves through April, no new books in January, and picking the books I read based on previously decided themes. If you want to play along, please do. Feel free to join me in any or all of my goals. The themes, again, that I am choosing for the first 4 months, January are animals on the cover, whether as a picture or as in the title. February's books will be girl in the title or a female name in the title. March books will be blue covers. April's books will be related to nature in any way. And I'll make sure to pop into the Cozy Reading Nook from time to time to let you know how this project is going. and how I am enjoying the books that I'm reading, and if my TBR pile is shrinking or not. So keep an eye out for those videos, and let me know in the comments if you are going to be joining me on any of these goals or what your own 2022 reading goals are. I would love to hear what your plans are for your reading life in 2022. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.